where do you want to be? You said that you were like a 2 or right here.
Yep.
Where do you want to be?
Yeah.
And if they say I want to be a 5, they are announcing to everyone.
Yeah. So when you come in and
they
tell
want
them,
healthy everything.
It's not like one idea hits one principle, right? You can have one idea that hits 3 of these things, right?
Yeah,
Like
sure.
that you just said. And a lot of them, I think, do. All right. So, Alex, you know how both of us have been very into listening to a specific podcast, My First Million, right?
Yes.
That's been pretty good on like business advice. And I don't know, I feel like that's been on like our go-to recently.
Yeah.
Well, the one I was listening to, a week ago maybe, or a recent one, he had brought up a whole topic on toothpaste and how we kind of started the habit of brushing twice a day. Mm-hmm. And I don't know, I kind of felt stupid because I'm a dentist, you're a dentist, and I thought that was either done from scientific studies or the ADA or some governing body was like, hey, you should be brushing twice a day. Mm-hmm. Not anything related to that. It was literally a marketing guy that did all that. So,
really?
Yeah. So let's go back to the 1920s, right? So there's this guy named Claude Hopkins. So he's a big advertiser, marketer guy. He had done stuff with Bissell, like carpets.
Mm-hmm,
mm-hmm. He had done stuff with palm olive soap,
Okay.
Goodyear tires, just several other brands. So
Okay.
he's already this pretty big marketer, right? And has done a lot of good things. And so his next project is to work on Pepsodent, which is a toothpaste,
Okay.
which I don't even know if that's still around nowadays.
Yeah.
So he gets this, job to work on Pepsodent and try to help grow their brand. And, at first he goes, okay, so this is a toothpaste. I got to figure out how I get people to brush their teeth. Because let's a little bit of context. Before this, people didn't brush their teeth regularly. It was not like a twice a day thing. For a lot of people, it wasn't even like a once a day thing. Mm-hmm. Dentists, I think, encouraged people to do it, but it was not part of the culture to actually do it, right? So there really probably wasn't much compliance, right? So lots of cavities, lots of other issues, right, because of that. So
he's trying to just like sell more of this toothpaste.
Yeah.
Okay,
so he's trying to sell
his
more of this
task.
toothpaste, right? So he's like, all right, I got to figure out though how to get people to actually start brushing. Mm-hmm. So what he noticed was, and this is what I kind of learned listening to this other podcast and kind of when I went into it a little bit, was he focused on the film that's on your teeth, right? So he would run his tongue, across his teeth, and he's like, that feels kind of gross, right? Mm-hmm. And so he used that as the marketing, like
ad
message,
campaign?
the campaign.
Mm-hmm.
And so what he did is, in one of his advertisements, it was, take your tongue, put it around your teeth. You see that film around there? That's all bad stuff, right? And so you need to brush all that stuff off because it's gross. It prevents your teeth from being, and he didn't use the word like that's plaque, right? He used film.
Yeah.
So he used words that people understood. And he had said that it's preventing your teeth from not taking like the cloudiness off your teeth, right? So he was using terms and stuff like that people could relate to versus being very technical. And so he focused that on his ad campaigns. In addition, for like reinforcement, he made the toothpaste have a minty taste to it, right? So like when you brush your teeth, you would get that feeling of like cleanliness through mintiness, right? And you'd be like, okay, now my teeth are clean. So this dude who's just a marketer started doing this. Sales went crazy on it, got super popular. He single-handedly is the person who got our entire country to start brushing twice a day.
Yeah. So, not backed in science, not backed by a dentist.
No.
Just some guy who wanted to sell more toothpaste.
No, a really good advertiser. Wow. So yeah, isn't that kind of crazy? I don't remember learning this in the history of dentistry class that we took in first year, but that was just something that I don't know. Maybe everyone else knows it, but I was not aware of that.
Yeah.
So then that got me thinking.
The power of marketing, hey?
Right? Or the power of influence, right?
Okay.
And so that's what I was thinking about is, it started me thinking more about like influence and how we do that in our practices and kind of getting patients to accept the treatment and all that kind of stuff. And then it got me thinking about, we learned about the principles of influence, right? Sure. The Cialdini book, but we really got kind of firsthand knowledge on it. What was it? Maybe 7 or 8 years ago?
It was, I checked.
Okay.
I got a certificate.
Oh,
I don't
nice.
know if you got one. Were you there?
Yeah, I was there.
You were there? Okay.
Yeah, I was definitely there.
April 2016.
Okay. So
signed by Cialdini himself.
Oh, it was?
Mm-hmm. And Chris Phelps.
Yeah.
Yeah, both.
So we had gone to a course, and there was a part that was Chris Phelps, who I'm sure a lot of the people know on here. He was kind of the big guy who took Cialdini's principles and kind of brought them to dentists.
Yeah.
So his was maybe what was like a day or 2 day course, and he kind of went through all the different principles and kind of explained it to us. I mean, really, like I remember that part, and then I think it was around. It was one in 2016. Was it March? April? Yeah. Okay, so that makes sense then. So my memory is not too bad. It was around March Madness because I remember afterwards we went to the bar with him, and he's a big UNC fan, so we were watching UNC basketball. But yeah, so we took that course with him, and that was really eye-opening. I think if I could look back and say, hey, what were some good CE courses we took that I still remember the stuff.
Yeah, because we'd read the book previously.
Yeah.
And we were familiar with that stuff, but it's just so hard to, tackle it and put it into dental terms or how you can use it in your own business. So it was nice that he kind of laid it out a little bit and gave us some ideas, and we could all collaborate together and come up with some good stuff. Yeah.
So I thought that was a great course. And I know when we got back to the offices, he gave us like a little pamphlet to kind of like help us out with starting it, but we even kind of thought of different ways and things we could do on our own, and it kind of like sparked an interest in that. And I feel like, there's a lot of like pseudoscience weird stuff out there. I do feel like this was one though that I still think obviously it's going to work forever, right? And it actually, I felt like it was something that after we implemented some of it, I was like, this actually does work.
Well, yeah, because I still had that practice in California. No, I think I just sold it. No, I think I still had it. And then, because my next practice, the startup, didn't open until 2017. So I was like ready to go. I had some time to like really think about this, like hit the ground running, right from the start with, 0 patients. And it's like, okay, what can we do? Any little bit helps, right? Yeah. And it's like, okay, how can we play these JEDI mind tricks on our patients to try to get them to say yes to treatment or staff and that kind of stuff.
So disclaimer here, right? Like, and I think even Chris said this at stuff is there's a lot, like with great power comes great responsibility, right? So just making sure that you're doing things that are ethical
and honest and all that stuff, which we did. I mean, we towed the line. We came up with some unethical things. We're like, should we just do this? And we're like, no, we can't do it. Yeah. That's we just can't. So
so I was thinking what we could do is kind of go back through. So when we took this course, there were 6 principles, is my understanding. Mm-hmm. And since then, I believe there is a 7th one that has come out. So I think we should just go through and kind of go through each of those principles and kind of discuss what we did and kind of what worked and all that stuff.
Sure.
So the first one on the list is reciprocity.
Nice. Yep. So this is where you feel obligated to give back to someone else. Like if you've given them something, they feel obligated. So we definitely did this one.
And before we go into the dental part, one thing that I was thinking of, I was like, what's probably the biggest industry I know of that uses this a ton? All right, I'll give you a hint. It's a $10.5 billion industry, according to what ChatGPT says. Mm-hmm. No idea.
What is it? Well, I don't know.
Timeshares.
Okay.
Right?
Okay.
So with timeshares, that's their whole model, right? They take you to a nice hotel. They give you like, hey, come here for this free stuff. And then they make you feel obligated. So once they give you the sales pitch, that you'll actually do what they want, right?
Okay.
And so, yeah, timeshares is a huge one that does reciprocity.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah. Or I don't know if you remember too, I think they're banned now at the airports, but when was it like the Hare Krishnas that used to give you the flowers, right?
Yep.
When you would walk in and then give you something and then ask for a donation. Mm-hmm. So that was another one too. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm glad that doesn't happen anymore.
Yeah, I know that was kind of awkward. So go through some of the devil stuff.
The things that we did. So we took advantage of the goodie bag for patients, right? So they'd come in, typically, you'd go to your dental appointment, get your cleaning, and then on the way out, the hygienist or assistant would give you your little bag full of little, toothbrush, toothpaste, floss, and say, see you later, kind of thing. And we thought that might be a missed opportunity. So we give our bags, our goodie bags and stuff on the front end. So here's your gift.
Yep.
And now we're waiting for you to owe us something back. If that is a yes to treatment, if that's a yes to scheduling your next appointment, whatever it is, there's still you're in our debt, I guess.
Yeah.
So we use that as a way to, like I said, increase case acceptance and get patients scheduled.
Yeah, I think that one's been pretty good. I mean, I feel like we've always had pretty strong case acceptance, right?
Yeah.
I think, we were trying to always aim for 75% of yes, no, right? Mm-hmm. Not total treatment diagnosed.
Yeah.
But the one challenge with that is, and I may be wrong in this, is that usually when you give something, you usually want to, the longer you wait to ask for it,
there's this moment of power that that Chris Phelps had described, that there is a clock ticking.
Yep.
It's you give someone something and then you should really ask for something pretty soon right after. So I was thinking about that. I'm well, we could kind of tweak it a little bit, and you do your cleaning appointment or whatever, and you just give the patient the bag, and you're oh yeah, and by the way, here's my treatment coordinator. You kind of time it so that, you could try to time it in a way that they're oh, thank you, and oh gosh, now I have to, let's talk about my treatment that was just diagnosed and stuff like that. So yeah, I think you could play around with the timing.
Yeah, totally. Okay, the next one.
Oh, I'm not done.
Oh, no. Okay,
I got more.
Sorry.
Another one. Well, this kind of goes back to bonuses versus gifts for staff.
Okay.
So giving a gift on the front end to a staff member.
Oh, nice. So you're hitting you're going staff, not just patients.
Not just patients. Yeah. Any people that we're surrounded with, how can I control them? That's so doing something for someone before, I guess they do, I think that always works. And what we did at our office, we didn't do this 100% all the time, but we had a getting to know you form that I'd have my staff fill out. Mm-hmm. And it was obviously their name and stuff like that. But it was what do you like to get at Starbucks? What's your favorite fast food? What's your favorite candy and stuff? So now, do I really want to get to know them? Sure. But now I had exactly what their go-to list that makes them happy.
Yeah.
So it's oh, I know they want a caramel frappuccino.
Well, it's
so
nice.
Then,
but
So, and I can customize the gift. It wasn't oh, here's just this coffee and bagel or whatever it is.
Here's a Subway gift card because it was right next door to us.
Yeah, exactly. Right? And they're oh, thank you, but I don't really care. If it was something that's customized to them on the front end, and it's hey, here you go. Thanks so much for booking that treatment or coming in early or staying late or whatever. I think that's a big reciprocity influence type thing too.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, I think that works well too. I think anyone likes
gifts.
Anyone likes gifts, and anyone likes gifts that it's even if they know you had them write it down, the fact that you put in the effort for it, and then you you kind of remembered, but you also have a list, right? But the fact that you even did it, I think, goes a long way for team members, right? So,
Yep.
Okay. Any more reciprocity stuff?
No, that's all I had
That's
on my
it?
list. Yeah.
All right. The next one's commitment or consistency, right? I think those are usually kind of used interchangeably.
Okay. Yeah. So consistency, it's, if you have to make a choice, you want to behave consistently with that commitment because of like either personal pressure or peer pressure. You don't want to say something and then do something different.
Yeah.
It doesn't jar well. So yeah, that's a big one.
Yeah. So the one that I just always remembered us kind of doing, and you might have more that you remembered, was
Yep.
just getting patients to verbally commit and say yes
Yep.
to something. So if you wanted them to get treatment, right, or anything, it's verbally committing them, or verbally having them say yes to things, because then when you ask for it later, they internally feel like they don't want to be a liar, right? And they
Yeah.
don't want to be perceived as that, so they're more likely to do it then. That was the one that was the main one I remember us
Yours was
using.
treatment. Was that with treatment?
Yeah, I guess it could be with anything, right? It doesn't just have to be with treatment.
No, I just couldn't remember with your practice, is that?
That's the one when we did it mainly with treatment. But
Okay.
I guess my point is you could probably do
Yeah,
it
because
anywhere.
I mean, we've heard other ones with like hygiene recalls and stuff. It's like you're writing your own postcard reminder, like that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
That's along the same lines. We
Yep.
never did that, but we did do it with our referral program. So I don't know if you remember, we printed out business cards that had like refer a patient, refer a friend or something
Yeah.
like that. We had them fill out their name on it. And it was like, if you give this to someone, a friend who needs a dentist, we will give you, I can't remember, like $50 on your account or something like
Yeah.
that, a credit. And we would like give them one or two or something. Or like, hey, can you please write down your name
Yeah.
and give this to a friend or a family member or someone who needs to find a new dentist. So that was one way that like we had them like write down something
Yeah.
to like kind of commit to it.
Yeah, I mean, that just goes back to all the things we used to do when you're doing a startup. And then
You do everything.
And then about 2 years into it, you get really lazy and you're like, let's just run Google ads. All this other stuff, that was cool while it lasted.
I know.
Is there a way to do...
Did it work well? Like, not really. But that is just an example. And
Yeah.
like, would I do that again if I was in a startup? Yeah, probably. Because I do
I
everything.
mean, you're just in hustle mode, yeah.
Yeah. Let's see what else. And then, okay, so going to staff for a second, I would probably, I can't remember if we did this or not, but it almost like our values or something. Like if you have an issue with like staff showing up on time,
Yeah.
it's one of those things where it's like, I will show up on time plaque and I need every staff member to sign it.
Yeah.
So that they know,
Yeah.
and everyone else in the office knows that we
Yeah.
all have to be on time.
Yeah.
So that's another thing that I would probably say.
Yeah, that makes sense. And as a side note, I'm going to need you to stop referring to them as staff. That's an infection. They are team members, Alex.
Yeah, well,
Yeah.
feel like an infection to me
Yeah.
sometimes. Anyway, I can't get rid of.
Yeah.
Anyway, and then another one that I thought of, and we never did this, and maybe if I had my practice still, I maybe would do this.
Okay.
But I would probably have it on like a questionnaire. So patient fills out their new patient paperwork.
Okay.
And they would rate their mouth with pictures. So you'd probably have like 5 different pictures. One of like looks, you can see cavities and perio,
Okay.
and then like something that's like moderate gingivitis and like some cavities. Like you just see like 5 different pictures, like a scale. And like obviously the last one is beautiful, healthy teeth, straight, white, good gums. And you would have them rated. Like, how do you feel like your oral health is today?
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you have that information. And then when you get into the room and your assistant's going over information and stuff like that with them, going over their pictures and x-rays, and when you come in, you show them that same scale
Okay. Yeah.
and you say, where do you want to be? You said
yeah.
that you were like a 2
Yeah.
or right here.
Yep.
Where do you want to be?
Yeah,
And if
yeah.
if they say I want to be a 5, they are announcing to everyone.
Yeah, so when you come
that
in and
they
tell
want
them, yeah.
healthy everything. So
Yep.
then there's no surprise when you're like, all right, we need to do SRPs, we need to do these crowns, we need to do this and this and this.
Yeah.
That is and you mark it down. Like you remember that in their notes.
Yeah, that's actually pretty cool. I've never heard of that before. That's
know.
pretty sweet.
Yeah, I would probably do something
So how
like
though
that,
would
yeah.
you? Okay, I think that's actually really cool.
And at every recall,
Yeah.
you bring that back up and you assess them and you look and you're like, okay,
Yeah, has something changed?
has
Are you
something
not-
changed? Yeah. Are you now, you were a 2 and now you're a 3 now? We're headed in the right direction.
Yeah.
What else do we need to do? You know, that kind of thing. And it's
I feel like that
it's
would
them
work
verbally
really well.
committing. But visually, not
Yeah.
this like,
Yeah.
oh, my gums feel like, whatever.
So how would you though implement this with like we use digital forms for everything? So yeah, I guess you'd have to ask whoever you're paying to, like if you're using like Flex or whatever other company,
To upload pictures.
how do you upload pictures?
Yeah, I
Because
don't
that would be cool. Maybe we should reach out to them and ask them that. They're pretty
Sure.
cool on doing stuff. So yeah, that's a really good idea. We should test that out. Or someone listening here, please test it out and let us know how it works.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
Okay, on to the next one.
Yes, please.
Okay, social proof.
So like consensus. So you're doing things based on what others say.
Yeah, so there's a cool
and
one
do.
here.
Yeah.
So I don't know if you watched this show. I feel like it was like on its tail end when we were growing up, but candid camera.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. You're older than me anyway, so maybe. But one of the cool things they did on there was that elevator trick. So that's where the person who is not part of the game, right, is being tricked. They walk into an elevator, and when they get in there, everyone's faced the other way. And so they would capture people's what do you
backwards.
do?
Yeah.
What do you do? Everyone's facing away from the door, right? And a lot of times people would just walk in and start facing backwards, even though it makes no sense logically. You wouldn't do it. Like why? Yeah. And it just shows that people will just follow what the herd's doing, right? Yeah. And so that's like a, I guess, humorous example of it. But I guess anything that you remember that we did in our practices? Yeah,
I think it was mostly with like treatment planning. That was a big one when we were going through like financial options, and we'd have like the 3 like pay up front, or we can finance it or do something long term kind of thing. And I think we would say like most of our patients do this, and that would just kind of lead them in that kind of direction. So it was more just like a verbal kind of thing. I think when I treatment planned, like with the patient, like talking to them about stuff, I would bring it up, I think, just in conversation. Like if they're wavering between like a bridge or an implant, and I would say most patients in this situation that have this and this do this option.
Yeah.
So I think it was just more in passing. I don't know. Do you remember any other ones that we did?
Does it? I don't know. I know we would also say, or like, when you talk to consultants or like something that's been said forever is like, well, if you were my family member or you were this and this, I would do that. Is that really consensus? No, I don't think so. Yeah.
No, because that's still, you're offering your opinion.
Yeah.
And like what you...
I think that's more like trust maybe, or building it that way. Yeah. So I don't think that really fits.
It's more like what everyone else is doing.
Yeah.
So like when it comes to like, these are things that you could do. If you had the numbers and you had like the data to back it up, because again, we want to be like honest.
Yeah.
I would say like, I'd look at, the numbers and say, okay, most people, like 90% of our patients keep their hygiene appointment.
Yeah.
So I'd like put that on a plaque or something like written somewhere. So then now like, oh, the majority of people keep their hygiene appointment.
Oh yeah, because wasn't in the book, wasn't that the story? There was something with lawns and people putting a sign up somewhere, and by them just putting some I forgot what it was.
Oh, I don't.
But it was something like, it had something to do with either like lawn care or something, where it was like, if you just put a sign up that said X amount of people do this, then people are more likely to do it.
The one that I remember is the hotel towel situation.
Oh, yeah,
right?
Yeah, that's a good one.
It was 75% of people who stayed in this room don't like let us wash their towels or something like that.
Yeah. Well, that's what you see now, because I don't know, in like some of the dental Facebook groups, right? Like there's people that have posted, I think I even commented on it, where it was, Do you have people,
Yeah.
do you have them
Clean-
come in and
clean
clean
the
your
room.
room and change
Yeah.
the towels? And I do remember some hotels do put in, I just saw it at
Yeah,
one
yeah.
recently where they say something about how, most of our guests,
Yeah.
wait, like, don't have us do the towels every day, whatever that is,
Yeah,
something
yeah,
like that.
yeah.
And obviously that's a way for them to, like, and then the benefit is it like
saves the
reduce-
environment
yeah,
and
all
stuff
that
like that.
stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think they tried on the experiment. They were like, let's just have it say save the environment and reuse your towel. And then they had another one that was like 75% of our guests help save the environment by not saving a towel, by not
Yeah.
by reusing towels. And more people agreed with the other one because, okay, other people that stayed
The other one, you mean
here-
the 75%
Yeah,
one?
the one that was like based on that.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I don't save the environment and I want a fresh towel every time. But
yeah. I mean, I'm kind of dirty, so I don't really care anyways.
yeah. No, but then some other examples too of
Yeah.
ones, if you had the numbers to back it up, it would be like the percentage of people, like 75% of people pay their bill within 30 days.
Yeah, I guess you could put that into something with like your patient AR software, right? If you had something like that that sent out messages to people, right? That like
Yeah, it could be on there.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then also with like, I mean, again, you can go do this back with like staff, it's like
team members. Yeah.
100% of you people show up on time or whatever it is,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
So I think you could kind of do it with patients and with staff and stuff like that.
Okay.
Too. I will continue to call them
I
staff.
know.
Sorry.
I know. Okay. The next one that I have on there is authority.
Okay. Yeah, that's a good one. I like that one. So pretty much that's the expert one, right? People rely on those with expert knowledge and they listen to those people on how to respond.
Yeah, I mean, like personally, I know I'm an expert because every year I pay $125 to get a plaque that tells me I'm one of America's best dentists, right? So
Money well spent.
yeah, I don't know. Personally, with that one, I have mixed feelings on that. I
know you
feel
do.
like
I like
to
that
me
one.
that goes. I don't know. For me, that goes on like a little shadiness. Like there's actually like I paid for that, right? It's
for the
different.
plaque in general.
Yeah. So I
Yeah,
feel like you
I mean-
could do it a more ethical way. I
Yeah,
feel like
maybe.
that's. I don't know. I feel like
But I
that's
feel
one that
like
toes the
you
line.
don't like to do that anyway. Like I'm more comfortable saying like, "Hey, I'm Dr. Cantor,
and I paid $125 to say I'm America's best dentist.
and I wear that plaque around my neck
You
so
got a
that
big gold
everyone
chain.
knows,
Yeah.
please.
Yeah.
But I'm one to wear like the white coat and stuff
Yeah.
like that, and like act the part, I guess.
No, I downplay
versus
it.
you, or you're just like I'm Eric, and I don't know, here just cause.
Yeah.
Open up,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So yeah, so that one's like you refer to yourself as doctor, have everyone, all your staff, refer to you as doctor. You wear your white coat, you have your frame certificates and diplomas like plastered on the walls and stuff like that.
It's
Yeah.
probably also because I don't like to do a lot of intense different kinds of dentistry. So I'm probably like, what plaques am I going to put up?
Yeah,
Buckle, pit.
expert.
Yeah.
Yeah. But hey, no one reads
I'd
it.
be-
It's,
yeah.
as long as
if
it's up
there was
there.
like, if like, you know how like if you're doing Invisalign and there's a like, you're a, what is it, like a diamond status or premier,
Yeah,
whatever
yeah,
that one
sure.
is. Oh yeah. If it was like buckle pits, I'd be top on that one.
5 gold stars.
That's how I define bread and butter dentistry. Hey, quick break here. If you're enjoying Just a Couple Dentists, don't forget to follow or subscribe wherever you're listening. It's the best way to keep up with new episodes and hear us argue about dumb stuff and complain about dentistry. And trust me, you don't want to miss that. Now back to the show.
I think what I would do now
Yeah.
is I would frame a lot of our 5-star reviews on the wall.
Yeah, that actually
I'd print them
is a
out
good
from
idea.
Google.
Yep.
Have it all 5 stars with their testimonial on there and just put it up and you have like massive walls of just 5-star.
Walls of it.
Yeah.
And I mean, the nice thing too is, our practices, I feel like it's very commonplace for people to try to build 5-star reviews.
Yeah.
So it's not like back in the days, like 10 years ago when it was like, oh, a dental office had 20 reviews and your goal was like, oh, if I can hit 100, like I'm number one in like the freaking county, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like with nowadays, everyone's got hundreds,
Yeah.
thousands, right?
Sure.
So you can make you could plaster your entire interior
Yep.
with 1,000 reviews right?
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Like that's all individual ones. You could make that really good. I mean, I think maybe if the version of what people would do back in the day, maybe a little bit more, was just pictures of people smiling, right?
Oh, sure, like before and
So I
afters
feel
and
like
stuff
that
like
could
that,
work
yeah.
if you were more cosmetic.
Mm-hmm.
But I feel like that requires you to do more big cosmetic cases, right?
Requires
Which
you
I
to do
don't
work.
want to do.
Yeah.
And then it requires you to like ask the patient to do it. There's just a lot of more like initial legwork on it.
Yeah.
It's a lot easier once you get the review just to literally like have a company that can like make it, nice on the,
You don't
nice
even
little-
know. You can pick up
No?
these frames at like the dollar store,
Okay.
print it out. You do not need to invest a lot of money. It's just a bunch of 5-star reviews. And that goes
Yeah.
to like not just authority, but also like consensus too. So it kind of trickles
Yeah.
into like
Yeah.
both,
It
where
hits
it's like,
both.
oh, there's like 100 of these on the wall. Like, oh gosh, I better be
And I
one
mean,
of
I
these
think that's
too.
one important point too, is a lot of these principles, and this is one thing we learned too, is it's not like one idea hits one principle, right? You can have one idea that hits 3 of these things, right?
Yeah,
Like
sure.
that you just said. And a lot of them I think do. Mm-hmm. All right, you got any other ones
For that,
on
no.
authority?
No, not really.
Okay, next one is liking. This one's probably my favorite.
Yeah.
Because I like to be liked.
You do. So people would rather say yes to those who they know and they like.
Yeah.
It's pretty straightforward.
Yeah. I mean, that's
This one's
the
hard for me. Gosh.
Yeah,
no.
I know.
No, so
I mean, that's just
I mean, pretty much like the only thing that that I would do is like that first 3 minutes.
Yep.
It's like that's when you gotta just put on your happy face, I guess, for me, and just
Yeah.
like find things that you're similar with the patient about, compliment the patient,
Yeah.
or like show some kind of cooperation, like you're on the same page
Yeah.
with something. So, and you got to do that fast.
Yeah, and that's the one thing. Like, I think I naturally like the liking thing, like I said, because that probably gives me more energy if I'm, if I can get people to like me. But my issue was always in the beginning is taking too long, and you really need to cut it down to 3 minutes or less. And I do think that takes time for people who like to talk more.
Yeah.
But I found I can get the same effect and still get that same relationship with the patient in 3 minutes than with 10, right?
Yeah.
You don't have to like, it's not like the longer you talk, the more they like you, right? It's building that initial connection with them.
Yeah. No, and I kind of saw this. So even before this, so when I did my externship out in California
Yep.
with that big cosmetic dentist,
Yep.
she was so good at this. She was so good at like having the patient come in, them talking a little bit about like, oh, I want, this, straight teeth here and this to look this white. And she would throw in those compliments like, oh, I love your necklace. Like it was so natural, and she had incredible case acceptance.
Yeah.
But it was like, I hadn't seen that before because I was obviously, I think we
We're
were
in
in
dental
like third
school.
or fourth year
Yeah.
or whatever it was. And we're just like, why aren't you talking technical? Like, why aren't you talking
yeah, you
about
gotta-
like all
I
the,
mean-
that's all we know.
Well,
And
yeah,
I-
you've got professors teaching you who never were in private practice.
well,
so,
yeah. So just seeing, it was like, oh, wow. Like having her turn that around and having a conversation about just the person and getting that person to like her I was like, oh, wow. Okay. Got to write this down and remember this. And so I would, genuinely want to, like the patient and show them that like, oh yeah, we're similar with this, or make a funny joke or whatever it is, compliment them. But it does make a difference.
Oh yeah, totally. It just puts people at ease too. But I think that's a common one that everyone kind of already knows. Like people like to do business with people that they like, right? Everyone does that.
Yeah. And then
Anything else?
Well, yeah. And then thinking with like staff members and stuff not just like directly compliment them or say, hey, you did a good job or anything like that. But whenever there's an opportunity, if someone's like husband comes in or a boyfriend or a family member, and talking them up to that person, be like, yeah, I can't work without this. My assistant, she's so great. Like, you're so lucky that you're married to her, or whatever it is. It always gets back to that person.
Oh yeah, you
right?
need to win over the
to have that, like, that's going to make your staff member like you more.
Yeah.
So it's just, again.
Oh yeah,
Jedi
I
mind
feel like
tricks.
I feel like that helps a lot too, because they do have a life outside of the practice, and us as the dentist or the boss or the authority figure in the practice, I mean, you kind of are the one who gets shit talked on more, right? That's just how it works, right? It's not a bad or a good thing. It's what it is. So I feel like the more you can actually kind of make ends with the people that they are with outside of work, right? Helps.
Yeah, I agree.
Okay.
Is that 6?
No, that's 5.
Oh,
We're on
what's left?
6.
Oh,
So
scarcity.
6 is scarcity.
Okay. So if something is less
Fear.
available, what?
Fear.
Oh, fear. So I said beer.
No.
When something's less available, it becomes more valuable.
Yep.
So
Don't make yourself too available.
yeah, play hard to get.
Yeah.
So pretty much I would tell my staff that
Yeah.
when it came to like scheduling, because, sometimes, they answer the phone and they're like, yeah, when can I get you in? We have like Monday through Friday, whenever you want open. And
Yeah.
I'm like, no, don't say that. Like
Yeah.
we need to appear, especially in the beginning, way more unavailable.
Oh yeah, especially with like a startup when like if I literally looked at my schedule for the first few months, like I don't know. I know there's some people who say they open up and they have like 300 new patients like just lined up the morning of. But that wasn't our case, right? It's not like you're gonna. What do you like?
But you need to act like it.
Yeah, but you don't
almost.
want to tell. Yeah, I mean, you don't want your front to be like, oh, when do you want to come in? Oh, well, we just started, so like, there's really like no one here, so like whenever you want.
Yeah.
Right?
And
Like,
even even when we got busy too,
Yeah.
it was still like, oh, when you want to come in, we'll make this work. And it was like, I'm always trying to say on the phone, okay, let me look through the schedule. We're pretty booked this week. Right?
Well, yeah.
And it's like, ooh, maybe I can squeeze you in tomorrow at 2. How, does that work? Or maybe, Thursday at 10. Which one works for you? Because I like you make it sound way more like much more harder to get in
Yeah.
than it actually is. And that yeah. And then they're like, oh yeah, I better make this appointment. I
All
want
right,
to push this off.
So tell me why that doesn't fall into like towing the line. Is that still considered ethical doing that?
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, I guess
It's
if
not
that's,
hurting
I mean, I
anyone.
guess if that's like the actual appointment slots you have for it, right? Like as you get busier, it's not like you leave emergencies available all the time, right? You would tell a patient, hey, in our schedule, in the mornings, we look
Yeah.
and say, hey, we have an emergency available at 3. And so if someone's on, it's like, hey, we're pretty booked. It's okay to say, hey, we're booked today, but you know what? We do have one spot open at 3. I can hold it for you. It's just, I think, on how you present it.
Yeah.
But as long as you're being truthful about it, I think that's the important part. Like, I know, it's November now, so it's end of year. So I think a lot of times what we'll tell patients or have our team tell patients is like, hey, it's the end of the year. People are starting to use their benefits. We're starting to get busier, right? So, the doctor doesn't, A, we don't want you to wait on this because you shouldn't be waiting in it. And B, you have some benefits left. You should use them, right? I think it's using some of that too as like scarcity. Like you don't want to lose out on your benefits.
Yeah.
For a lot of people, they
Sure.
reset in January. So like, why would you you'd be stupid not to use it, right?
Sure.
So I think that is one that we've done at the offices that seems to work well. Like that's a little bit more like timely.
Yeah. And I would always bring it up too when talking about treatment. Like, you are going to lose your bone. You are going to lose your teeth. You are going to lose function. You're going to lose these things if we don't do something.
Well, what is that? Like people fear loss more than gain, right? Isn't there, I don't know what it's called, but there is some psychology principle about that.
So I wouldn't, I mean, that's a lot of how I presented treatment. But yeah, I think those two are the main ones.
Yeah. All right. The new one.
Yeah. So what is this? So I'm not familiar with
unity. So
with
it's being part of the tribe, right? Or feeling like you're part of the same community. In this situation, like the patient feels like they're in it with you, right? They're part of the same tribe.
Okay.
So I mean, the one example I can think of, a organization, religion that does this very well is Mormons. They are very, very good, I feel like, at the unity and feeling part of the tribe, and then getting their other people.
I think most
within the
religions
tribe.
are, though.
Yeah,
aren't they?
I think in general, maybe
Yeah.
a religion. But maybe it's because there's a lot of Mormons in dentistry. But that's just the one I always think of. I was like, they figured that one out really, really well, and they know how to use that well. But like, for example, it's like, supporting local charities, being part of Chamber of Commerce, like just being in the community, and then letting your team, letting patients know that you're, it's not like you're telling them like, hey, I went to the Chamber of Commerce meeting, right? But like they know either through stuff on the wall or like if you send out emails or stuff that you're just part of their community. So being part of the same community is what that one is.
Do you think that a no cavity club wall that would work, with little kids?
Adults?
Would it work with adults? Yeah, because that's what I'm thinking. Like, your teeth are good. Let's take your Polaroid and put you on the wall, and you're part of the clan. Like I mean, that's like, that's just like a funny example,
that's
right?
Like back in that's like the burger joint back in India, like Bub's Burgers, right? In Indianapolis, that was like popular. Like if you ate the pound or 2 pound burger, whatever that was, you got
like
Polaroid and you got put up on the wall. So you're part of like, I mean, that did create a little bit of a cultish kind of feel in there. Cause like, honestly, I always thought their burgers were like, okay. But it was always slammed and packed because it had a good atmosphere and like everyone referenced that wall and people wanted to be on the wall.
So maybe we got to bring back the no cavity club wall with grown-ups.
With grown-ups, yeah. I don't think that's as cool as eating like a 2 pound burger. Please, or however big it is.
Please don't take my picture. I don't want to be on
your
wall.
I know. See, I feel like that would be kind of weird.
Just an idea. Someone use it, see what happens.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, those are the 7 principles of influence. That's kind of some of the stuff we've used. And then it kind of got me thinking too, like, all right, like kind of like you just mentioned with the whole like cavity club thing. I was like, what are the like out of the box, like kind of weird ideas could work, and like what principles would apply? Like, could this work?
Okay.
And so what I was thinking of was, let's say this would mainly work for cosmetic practices, right? Okay. Or ones where you're trying, I guess focused on cosmetics, right? I could have just said that in 2 words and not 2 sentences. Either a like relaxation or a massage room, probably not massage room, but some type of like relaxation thing that's part of the new patient experience for people that are doing like a full mouth rehab or a full mouth consult on something. So part of the new patient appointment, it's kind of like the dental spa thing, but maybe taken to another level. So when someone's coming in, you're either doing like, I don't know, I've heard like of people doing like paraffin wax stuff or just doing like kind of med spa-y kind of things prior and just getting the person like in the mood.
But what principle is that?
That would probably be reciprocity, because you're giving people
you're doing
a ton.
This for free.
Yep, you're not charging anyone for it, but this is with people who are coming in because you're marketing for someone who's like, I'm coming to see you because I want 8 veneers on top and 8 on the bottom, right? And so when you have that coming in, you're doing like this really above and beyond kind of stuff. And it's like, you're not doing it for every patient, but people who come in wanting something because you know you're going to have a big ask at the end.
Real quick, if you're into what we're talking about and want more, check out my newsletter, Just 2 Minutes. It's the dental blog you can actually read between patients. No fluff, no BS, just straight up tips, stories, and insights to help you level up. You can subscribe over at coupleofdentists.com or just hit the link in our show notes. Now back to the pod.
So I don't know, what other things, like, I mean, obviously you'd have to set up a separate op for it, right? And do it, but like, what are things that, I don't know, I'm a dude who doesn't really like do any of that kind of stuff. Yeah. So like, is there anything you would want before, or would it feel like awkward? I feel like a massage thing would be tough because that would be expensive to retain someone, or you'd have to get like a staff member just to do it.
How are you at massagers?
Yeah. Tina, I need you to massage Jim at Op 6. Yeah.
It's not my job.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know what kind of things.
I mean, as a concept, could it work? Because you're kind of doing, I mean, I guess it's just reciprocity. There's not really a ton of other ones. Maybe liking, like they'd like you because you gave them a lot of things. But is there anything that you
that's kind of hard because, again, you're trying to make it, you want it to be customizable, like to that person, or like custom to that person, because like you said, you're not going to like it. Like, you don't really care if someone like put your hands in wax. You actually probably hate it. Yeah. And be like, what the heck is going on here? Like, I feel more awkward.
Yeah.
I was really like looking
like
this.
What do I do with this?
Yeah. So I don't know if that would work.
Yeah, I guess it would have to be something that. Yeah, but I'm also not going to be someone that's like, I want a full mouth of veneers. So, like, I'm
Yeah,
not
I know, but
self-selecting into that
yeah.
type. Like, I'm not that avatar of what they're looking for.
Yeah.
So if it was that person, like, I guess you'd have to figure out what they want. I mean, that's also, okay, I think maybe Chris talked about this too, was what about the gift card thing? Wasn't that one where you could give someone like 3 options? And was that with referrals, or were you just like throwing out gift cards to every new patient? And you're like, "Hey, welcome to the dental office.
Yeah.
Do you want a Pizza Hut gift card?"
It was after their appointment,
Yeah,
and it was. But he had it with like local businesses and stuff, like the coffee shop down, the block that was family owned, or the restaurant that was, just local and stuff. So he didn't go to like a Pizza Hut or whatever, or Starbucks. He was going to these local places. He was like, "Hey, choose 2 of these."
Like, it's a cool, so like that's a cool concept. Yeah. It's a little weird, I think. Like, it's just not, it's a weird expectation, right? Like, if I go and I get a goodie bag and it has a toothbrush in it and toothpaste and floss and things that are related to a dental office, it's a little weird if you're at a dental office and they're like, "Hey, pick one of these 3 gift cards from here and here." Like, I don't know. For me, it like the fit's kind of odd.
No, I think it's just on how you say it. If it's like, "Hey, we're here to support, local businesses and businesses in the area,
yeah.
Here, we wanted to say thank you for coming in.
Yeah.
Go ahead and pick, I think people like forget about the awkwardness and are like, "Ooh, free stuff." Like this will be cool.
Good point.
So, and I think on like the back of it had like their name, like the office name and stuff, office logo. So whenever you redeemed it, like they'd obviously talked to these businesses before, and whenever they redeemed it, they would just give it to the person that worked at the coffee shop, and they'd have this collection, and they would just reuse them. They'd go back like at the end of the month, collect the used ones, and then just use those again. So
okay, yeah, I guess that
could work then. It could work.
I just probably wouldn't be the best at delivering.
Just like nothing around like our offices. Like we would like Dunkin' Donuts and like nothing was and, like nothing local. So it didn't really work for us.
Okay, one other weird one. Why did I say weird? This is not weird at all. This is the opposite of weird. This is actually just very like easy. I don't know why that came out of my mouth. But I felt like this one could be part of liking and commitment or consistency. And this is just an addition into what you're currently doing in regards to the goodie bags. So what if at the beginning of the morning, every patient who came in, or everyone who you were going to offer a goodie bag to, whether you do it for just new patients or for every patient, right, is you just put their name on the goodie bag. So like, and like a smiley face, kind of like the Starbucks thing, right? So like, when you order from Starbucks, they put your name on the cup, and then sometimes they'll put like a little smiley face or put something on it, or like a heart. What if you did...
What Starbucks are you going to?
Oh yeah, I shouldn't tell you about that, sorry.
Yeah. Because it's probably some like mochaccino, frappa, whatever. Pumpkin spice.
No, I just do nitros. No, anyways, I was thinking,
so you're saying personalize it.
Yeah, could you personalize the goodie bag? Like that doesn't take long. It requires a Sharpie marker and probably like a minute of time for someone to just put the person's name on it and like a little smiley face or something on it. And when you get it, then you see your goodie bag. And even though it's not really like you bought those goodie bags from Amazon, right? Like a big box of them.
Yeah.
Like it still has the name on it. So like maybe, I don't know. That was just something small that I was like, could help and isn't really like it's kind of like a low cost from a time perspective thing to do
maybe.
and from actual cost.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess. I mean, why not? Might as well try it. I mean, people always like to see their name or hear their name. And
so I don't know. That was a little easy one.
Cool.
You got one?
Nope.
No? Okay, well then I have one more.
Okay.
And this one's a true story. So this is a dentist that I know is in Colorado, because when I was at another event, someone I know had mentioned that this person had done this. So if they're listening and they are this person, like let me know so I can actually give you props.
They're not
on
listening.
I know, no one's listening. It's just us two.
2 listeners.
Just a couple listeners on just a couple dentists.
Just
and
us.
It's us, yeah. So he went to Starbucks and went to the front and pretty much prepaid or got, I think it was prepaid for $1,000 worth of Starbucks.
Okay.
And sat in the corner And then whenever anyone came up and they ordered their stuff, they said, hey, this was covered today by, you know, Dr. So-and-so.
Okay.
And then he'd be in the back and, you know, just raise his hand and say, hey, you know, this one's on me. That was kind of cool.
Yeah. Yeah, Chris Phelps did that too.
He did that, but he did that at a bar. What,
No,
or did he?
He does that every time. I don't know if he does this now, but every time he'd see a patient in public at a restaurant, at a coffee shop or whatever, he'd always pick up the bill.
Okay, that's kind of cool. And then wait, then maybe we heard a story too about another dentist who was at a bar, like a local bar, and he bought rounds for people, right? Or whatever, same concept as the Starbucks thing.
Yeah.
And then, I mean, I guess that goes into like liking and reciprocity.
Oh, yeah.
Authority.
Sure.
As an alcoholic.
No, I wanted to do that. I don't go out.
Yeah, I don't think you like people enough to do that.
No, I would. If I saw someone that I knew, I would definitely, pick up the bill for them. That's fine. I just literally don't go out and I don't see people.
I know. I try to I like people, but if it's outside of it, sometimes I want to avoid.
You
them.
hide. I know. For
hide.
someone who, wants to be liked by people.
Yeah. In my environment.
Yeah.
Where I'm in control. Yeah. Well, those were a few that I thought maybe could work, but other than that, I think that's a wrap. That's all I have on this stuff.